Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God, and this is all in the charts. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, drop me a comment, and click the bell icon for all notifications to know when I go live randomly on a Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So, as you guys know, I had mentioned to you that I'm traveling, and I don't have my typical setup. Which is absolutely frustrating, but making do with what I have. And originally I was planning to live stream yesterday. It just wasn't possible. So I wanted to get a live stream out before the start of the weekend and kind of go over charts and share my thoughts with you in terms of what's going on. If you could, in the comments, I'd appreciate it. Something that would really help me out is just to know that the audio is coming through okay. So if someone could just drop a comment and let me know that the audio is coming through okay, that would really, I'd really appreciate it, because then I know I can just move forward and start charting. So I'll kind of wait for that to come through for someone to comment before I get too far into the live stream here. Audio is good. Jay Kim, I can always count on you, my friend. Glad to see you in the live stream. Thank you so much for confirming. I hope everyone's having a good week. We're getting into Pumpvember. I'll have to put together a clever thumbnail for the month of November, because I'm expecting things to pick up pretty quickly here. You know, if we take a look at current price action, I'm actually going to clean this chart up. This is the 12-hour chart that we always take a look at. I want to clean this up just because, Frankie, thank you for confirming as well. I know the audio isn't great, but at least you can hear me. Yeah, so I want to clean up the chart a little bit and kind of focus on what we should be focused on. So the thing that I don't want everyone to lose track of, and of course I could put some more areas of support here, but I really don't want to clutter up the chart. I want everyone to focus on the most important facts within this chart. Okay. And by the way, for today's live stream, we're just going to see how long it goes. Maybe I'll take a question or two. I haven't done TA Q&A this week, so we'll just we'll feel it out. Maybe a 45 minute live stream, but we'll see. I got the time, guys. It's a little bit of a slow day today, so I have the time right now. So this is what I want everyone to focus on. Very, very simplistically, you have all these higher lows coming in. Now, the other thing that I want you to be focused on, and the orange zone here is sort of where I said, hey, I think worst case scenario, I think we could pull back to this area around 61.8 or 63.8. Yes, I know. There is definitely a very well-respected technician out there, someone who I brought up on the live stream with a large following, who's I've been reading, I guess, has some inclination to say that we're going to get some massive dump. I don't see anything in the charts that say that. Of course, Bitcoin always likes to throw us curveballs, so it wouldn't totally surprise me to see some sort of flash crash, but I just don't see anything in the charts that's suggesting that. All I'm seeing are higher lows coming in. We have our first higher high, right? This high that came up to 69,500, it took out this swing high right here. What we're waiting for right now, remember, nothing has changed for me. If you joined the Twitter Spaces or the X Spaces from yesterday and heard some of my commentary, I retweeted the Spaces. I've said all along that once we definitively reclaim $68,000, which is, technically we're below it right now, but I think that's what we're in the midst of doing at the moment. Once we reclaim $68,000, I said in relatively short order, we're going to be creating new all-time highs, and I stick by that. I stand by that. I still believe we're going to be going between 85 to 92 this year. So, but what we're really waiting for, let's kind of map this out right here. This is the area that we want to take out, okay? And right now, we have a lower high coming in relation to that. Where is that area? This thing wicked up to 70,000. Okay, so really what we need price to do is we need price to definitively, we're just going to put this at 70,000. We really want to get above $70,000. Okay, We're gonna, we'll just change this to, for the moment, we'll keep it at support. But $70,000 is really the main area that you want to keep an eye on. Technically, you could look at this structure and say, and I'm actually seeing this for the first time. You could say, well, no, it's not a rising wedge. I was going to say this is a rising wedge, but no, it's not. Technically, though, this whole area in here, this whole area right here, all we're doing for now, you could make the argument, while we've created higher highs and higher lows, all we've done at the moment is sort of wedged up here. We haven't broken definitively above that area. So we really do need to get above $70,000. No disagreement from me there. However, price action is looking very encouraging, and we've looked at so many different charts. I've spent time looking at the weekly, 2-week, monthly, 2-month. I've showed you all these macro charts that we've spent time talking about that are really starting to heat up. We've spent time talking about the global liquidity cycle. There are just a lot of things, guys, right now that are lining up that it really, while there's a possibility for anything in this market, I just find it very hard to believe that all of a sudden price is going to start dumping and, we're going to be entering some sort of bear market at this point. Again, possibility for anything, but I really just don't see it in the charts. So we will see what happens. In fact, when I look at this, what I see a potential trajectory here of sort of this rounding bottom at the moment. This thing looks like it wants to start picking up in some sort of parabolic fashion. You get these little pullbacks, and as I was saying on the Spaces yesterday, I think this is the part of the cycle where you really don't want to get too cute. In my opinion, it's not going to matter if you're buying Bitcoin at $62 or $63 or $64,000. If ultimately you believe that Bitcoin at the very least will hit an all-time high before topping out somewhere close to $100,000. I think worst case scenario is hitting somewhere between 90 and 100, or maybe we hit some higher targets towards 150. Whatever the case is ultimately, if your macro perspective is that the chart is going up, you really shouldn't be fretting over some of these pullbacks. You shouldn't worry about it. Let's kind of see how the weekly is setting up at the moment. I don't anticipate being here on Sunday, so let's see how this weekly chart is setting up. Have a nice long wick to the downside here. MACD is starting to cross up. Let's take a look at the 2-week. Of course, we've been tracking this 2-week and really talking about the importance in having the stochastic RSI cross above 20, which it has. And one of the things we actually spoke about recently is just, using history. If we use history, and you can kind of see it's charted out here, things are looking still good on this chart. What the hell is this? Why is this? We got this. Okay, RSI is starting to try to break out of there. Downward resistance. MACD, I like that, flattening out. The stochastic RSI is above 20. So one of the things we looked at are the number of head fakes, which there aren't many. And once the stochastic RSI gets that bullish confirmation to get back above 20, right? So meaning if you're looking at a 2-week chart, and it's very important that everyone understands the reasoning that you really want to focus on higher time frame charts. When you focus on higher time frame charts, what you're doing is you're removing some of the noise and some of the volatility that exists on some of those lower time frame charts. This market is hard enough as it is, and it's an extremely volatile market. So if you can help yourself out by reducing some noise and some volatility, it's only going to benefit you from an investment standpoint. Again, while I'm not an expert, take it from someone who's been here for 7 years at this point in this market. I think when you can start to, get away, as interesting as it is to look at the 12-hour chart to know in the lower time frame what's going on, the more you can focus on a weekly, a 2-week, a monthly, a 2-month, a 3-month, it's really going to benefit you a lot. It really will. So on this chart here, what we're saying very simplistically stated is, now that we had a cross down on the stochastic RSI on the 2-week, and now that it's gotten back above 20, right? It crossed below 20, but now it's back above 20. This is telling us, based on history, that we can expect, if history is any indicator of what will happen moving forward, and history is all we can use, this is all about probabilities, it's not about certainties. I posted something about that the other day. This is telling us that we can anticipate that Bitcoin will top out somewhere between March of next year and October of next year. It could really be anywhere in between here. And again, there's no reason. We have a limited sample set, guys. Again, this is just what the data is telling us. There's no reason that Bitcoin couldn't top in January or February, or it couldn't top in, December of 2025, right? This is just what the data tells us. That's all we can make our decisions based off of, right? It's just about probabilities. So that's really all I have for Bitcoin. We'll kind of, when we're looking at the chart, when we're looking at the clock here, or the calendar, we see that Halloween, the last day of the month, is coming up next Thursday. I'll see what my schedule looks like. It's very possible that what I'll end up doing is I may not be able to live stream on this Thursday. In fact, I think that's probably a near certainty. But Friday I may be available on the 1st here. So we might be able to, what we could do is do a monthly, take a look at the monthly chart and the 2-month chart on the 1st of November. So I'll keep that in mind next week. And I'll remind you guys next week because I'll be doing all of the charts next week. So let's take a look at Kaspa. So Kaspa, look, as strong a chart as it is, Kaspa needs to show me something. On a lot of these relativity charts, we're getting, if you're a Kaspa holder, as confident as I feel about the project itself and the charts and how they're set up, and nothing has changed for me. I still feel that it is very much a unicorn project. For all the reasons I've described in the past, we can't argue with the facts in the charts. And, we've assessed the USD charts, but one of the things you can do to assess, and I think it's very critical that everyone does this with their altcoins, you really should be pairing your altcoin against Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, in my opinion. Those 3 tokens at a bare minimum, you should be looking at the pairings to see the relative strength or weakness in your altcoin. And what we're finding on the Kaspa pairing charts, if we just focus in on Bitcoin and Solana because they've been stronger performers relative to Ethereum, we're nearing the bottom of where we want to see the relativity values get, right? It will be a problem. It will be a problem, not if we get a wick, but if we start to get a monthly close that goes below this green line right here, that's an issue, okay? That's a red flag to me, okay? Now what's happening is all this strength that has built up in Kaspa, and we've been sort of accumulating in here, if we were to break down, that's a bearish sign, guys. We have to be honest based on the charts. I come out here and keep things 100% real with you. Now, am I anticipating that? No. But I can't tell you, obviously, with certainty what the hell's going to happen in the chart. To me, it looks like we're coiling up in some sort of accumulatory, I just made up a word, accumulation range, and it looks like we're going to break to the upside here. But we'll have to allow the charts to develop, right? But for sure, and if we pull up the Kaspa BTC chart, again, same sort of thought process here. You can see, look at this thing. We're right at the bottom. You can't make this shit up. Now, we could break the ascending line here. I wouldn't be concerned about that. Where I would get concerned on this relativity value is if we broke this green line. And again, I do not expect that to happen, but I cannot tell you that won't happen. So we just have to keep an eye on this chart. If, I will say this, and I posted this out recently, If CASPA is going to bounce and the bottom is in, I believe the bounce is going to be very hard, and I believe it's going to happen very soon. We can't continue to stay down at this 12-cent level. CASPA's chart is like any other chart. If we keep hitting 12.8 cents, which it seems to want to keep hitting, eventually that floor is going to give out, and then we're going to be heading down towards 11 and maybe 10 cents. So we need to bounce the fuck up on CASPA and get out of this 12 to 13 cent range and start pushing up towards 15 to 16 cents. It's got to show me something. So something I'm certainly keeping an eye on. Given it's my largest altcoin holding, I've shared with you guys. Orca. Now, if you've been following me, you know I've been in an Orca trade now for a little while. My average entry price is somewhere in the $2 range, give or take a couple pennies. We're up at 260. And again, when I enter trades, guys, I'm not looking to day trade. I'm not looking to necessarily get in something for a week or 2 weeks. I might be in something for a couple months if I see a chart set up that looks advantageous to me. Okay, I'm willing to be patient and wait. And I think there aren't many assets you can get in. I got in back in September. There aren't many assets you can sit in for a month, month and a half, and make 30%. Okay? So I'm very happy. This thing's up 30%, but if you want to know what my relative expectation is, if the market picks up as much as I think it is, you're going to see something similar to this sort of trajectory. Okay, just to give an idea. Again, I've illustrated this. Once this thing starts to break out above 70 on the RSI, you can see what it did in the past. We had a monumental move here. Okay, and Tony the Bull BTC's raging bull trigger here. Okay, on the 3-day. Once we start to break definitively above this area at about 310, this thing's going to skyrocket to $4 to $6, I believe, in relatively short order. So, and when you're talking about an average entry price of $2, because I remain patient, because I just objectively evaluated the chart, if that does indeed come true, and that price action we see $4 to $6 in November, December timeframe, well, now I've purchased something I've waited 2 or 3 months for, and I've just doubled or tripled my money. And for me, I'd be very happy with that. So let's take a look at a few other charts. What else is going on here? You know, something we haven't taken a look at in a while. Juan, good to see you on the live stream, my friend. Something we haven't looked at in quite a bit is the total cryptocurrency chart here. This is everything. Now, I will say, I have refrained from really focusing on the total chart. I've more so with you guys focused on the total 3 chart. And if you recall, the reason for that is because the total 3, okay, so you have total, which is the entire cryptocurrency market cap. And just again, not to beat a dead horse here, but the total market cap, it is skewed based on how Bitcoin and Ethereum are doing. Because Bitcoin and Ethereum comprise, like, I don't know, 80% of the market cap, you're essentially getting most of Bitcoin and Ethereum's price action here and not a whole lot of else. Total 3, now what you're doing is you're removing both Ethereum and Bitcoin, and you're looking at all the altcoins. Total others is also a great view because you're taking out the top 10. So I prefer, in order to really gain an understanding of the altcoin strength or weakness within the market, I prefer to evaluate total 3 and total others for those reasons. However, we haven't looked at the total cryptocurrency market cap in a while, and so I thought it might be advantageous for us to just take a quick peek here. So, with that being said, I'm putting on my nerdy glasses here. You can't see me. You can't see me. I look very intellectual with these things on. So, you can see we're in a big downtrend here, breakup. Big downtrend here. We've had a breakup. Now what's going on? Well, similar to a lot of other charts we've looked at, okay, look what's happening here. Right? By the way, does this look familiar? This setup on the total chart, does this look familiar to you? It should. What we're seeing right here, if you followed what I said and everything made sense, you can see this is a bull pennant that's just beginning to break out, right? Just beginning to break out. Now, if you followed what I said and you understood that the total chart is heavily skewed by Bitcoin and Ethereum's price performance, let's flip to a Bitcoin monthly chart. So same time frame, okay? Same time frame. Look what's going on in the Bitcoin monthly chart. Look what's driving the price action on the total cryptocurrency market cap. This is the same damn thing, is it not? So when you're going to total, yeah, you're getting a little bit of a different view because some of the price action is being exercised on that chart from your altcoins, but there's such a small market cap. So what you're seeing, you tell me how much of a difference there is here. Not much of a difference, right? Look at the pennant, the pole, look at the pennant, and the pole. All right, so that's why I prefer to look at, hey, I'll just look at Bitcoin and Ethereum separately, and then look at Total 3 and Total 2. But this thing is just beginning to break out. If we go to the price indicator, stochastic RSI is at 60, nice healthy level. Want to see it push up to 70. And the stochastic RSI is well above 20 at 44. So we're looking good there, and MACD looks just fine. So we're pushing up just fine here. Guys, this is the last time I'm going to bring this chart up. I just posted about this. If you're following me, I'm tired of beating a horse. I'm not even going to pull the chart up, okay? I commented on the X Spaces yesterday about this. And this, I promise you, this is the last time I'm going to be talking about this chart. I'm not bringing it up again because I've quite honestly spent enough time on it. But there's a huge life lesson to be learned here. You know, when I first came out about 6 months ago, and I said to you, probably 6.5 months ago, and I said to you, hey guys, this floor right here that has been support since 2022 broke, just fair warning, when we look left, we're in what's called right now the no-no zone. Now, this is when we were still in the 2 cent range. The no-no zone, I said to you, is when we've entered an area on the chart where no historical price action exists and we're on the downside. We're not talking about a blue sky breakout. I mean, if you inverted this chart, it would look bullish as fuck, but no, this is not inverted. We're heading down and to the right. This is what's called a death spiral, okay? But at that point when we were in the 2 cent range, I said, guys, we may go slightly below here and bottom out just above 2 cents. We could go down to 1.5 cents. We could go down to a penny. We could break a penny. I don't know, and no one knows, right? And I had a friend of mine come on here and tell me this was Wyckoff accumulation and I should know better. And I had people coming at me and telling me, guys, I just exercised basic TA. Basic TA told me, hey, unemotionally, objectively, this thing has a high risk to break significantly to the downside. Look, since that break, we've fallen 72%. You had an opportunity to invest in many other projects that have done extremely well. Instead, if you're emotional and thinking this thing's going to change the world, you stayed in here for a 72% loss. All the way from the top to the bottom. This thing has made no one money. 98%. And I still come out on X and I see these delusional people that are saying that now is the time to buy and this thing's going to turn around. You can read what I said here. I have no hope for people like that. And I'll just be honest with you. At this point, you're just being stupid, quite honestly. And I don't mean that to be insulting, but sometimes you got to be straight up with people. You are stupid if you're buying into this thing. This thing is in a death spiral, guys. And if you're not willing to wake up at this point, I have no hope for you as an investor. Absolutely none. You'll continue to lose money. And that's the last I'm going to spend on that chart. Huge life lesson to be learned there. Don't be emotional with your investments. If you want to lose money, emotion is a money killer, my friends. Emotion is a money killer. I just really heated when I see morons on X talking about a chart that looks like it's in a death spiral, guys. So, enough of that. I can't stand. I've just begun to mute people. When I see really stupid comments from certain people on X, I just mute them. Mad Max, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Very, very kind of you. Thank you so much. Mad Max, since you were kind enough to give me a super chat, do you have anything you would like me to chart for you? We can certainly take a look at anything you would like. So feel free to drop into the chat. Anything you'd like me to chart out for you, I'd be happy to take a look. Frankie, yeah, we're done talking about that chart, but it hasn't had an awful chart for some time. It's had an awful chart. It's had an awful chart since inception. It's done nothing but create lower lows and lower highs. So, yeah, man, I just don't get some people. Some people just never learn. And then I think you have some influencers out there that and I said this on the Spaces yesterday, I think you guys need to, you're going to do yourself a big favor if you understand the difference between content creators and educators like myself, who are really transparent with you and authentic. But there's far fewer in between of those individuals versus the individuals who are influencers. And influencers, what happens is, not sure if you're aware of this, but influencers will grow their channel into the tens of thousands of subscribers by latching onto a community. And it doesn't matter what's going on in the community that's bullish or bearish. They'll make it sound bullish because they're doing things to appeal to your emotional side, right? They're giving you hope, false hope, but they're giving you hope, right? So you continue clicking and you see these attractive thumbnails and you listen to the bullshit that they spew on their videos. Like, there's a big difference. Just, it benefits you to know that. And at the end of the day, guys, you got to do your own due diligence. Like, we're all, as I used to say at the beginning of my YouTube videos, we're all big boys and big girls. Like, we should all be making our own financial decisions. If you're making your decisions based on anyone on YouTube, you're not gonna not be in this game very long. Okay, Mad Max. I just want you to do more live streams. At this time, your regular live streams are 3, at least one stream a week. Yeah, man, it's difficult. You know, I do work. So just to give you an FYI, I do have a 9 to 5. So Mad Max, as much as I would love to accustom different times, I really don't have that type of lifestyle at the moment that I can do that. So when I can, I will. You've certainly made that very loud and clear, and I appreciate you sharing that. But hopefully you understand. I just don't I don't have that much flexibility. Let's see here. What else could we take a look at? What questions does everyone have for me? I can certainly start picking out things to chart here. That's not going to be a difficult task for me. But I want to see what questions everyone has. No, I haven't looked at. Let's see Sui. Has Sui pulled back to the area I said I would actually be interested in it at? Because you never want to chase into green. You never want to chase into price action when it's running. So we've pulled back. We haven't pulled back substantially. Let's see. We pulled back approximately. We've only pulled back just over 20%, which in crypto is nothing. Again, and maybe I'll change my opinion as the chart develops, and maybe we only pull back to the 160 area. But really, when this thing was beginning to run up, I'm really not interested unless this thing pulled back to $1.40 or $1.06, somewhere in this area. May get it, may not. But the worst thing you can do if you're looking for trade opportunities, guys, the worst thing you can do is get laser focused on one asset, because what you're doing is you're blinding yourself to the hundreds of opportunities that exist out there. There's so many different tokens you can trade. Investing is obviously different than trading. We're not talking about investing, talking about trading. But the worst thing you can do is chase something because it started to run, right? Look around. There's plenty. I mean, you can see my future trades. I mean, I have so many tickers on here, right? And I'm going to have to remove. In fact, I'll remove this one right now, because I would never consider that asset again. That's off the list. So you can see how many I have on here. Rio is all the way down to 79 cents. What the hell happened? Does anybody know what happened to Rio? I know that Relio Network was one that a lot of people on this channel, and I considered buying some at one point because the chart I know was looking really good. This thing I thought was up to like $2, wasn't it? Let's see here. Wow. Yeah, this thing was up to over $3. Holy shit. Wow. Look at that. Yikes. Okay. Well, we were in a falling, well, sort of a falling wedge, but not really. Wow. Okay. This is weird. Now, this is a really weird chart. Let me explain why. We absolutely had a, this is a really weird chart. So, we had a falling wedge, right? We had this wide top, and then we start to narrow. We broke formation, but then we re-entered it, broke out, and now have come back down to back test this area. That's you want to talk about volatility. That is volatility to a T. So, as long as we can hold, you want to see Rio hold 65 cents here. If we start breaking below 65 cents, that would be a huge area of concern. Then obviously breaking back up against this swing high here at $1.39, $1.40 would be critical. All right, let's see what questions we have in here. Frankie, thank you for the super chat. Always appreciated to see you on the live stream in general. I like how you're specific on the exchange. Guys, when you drop me a chart to take a look at, there's many different exchanges that come up. So if you'd like to be specific and specify the exchange, that absolutely helps me out for sure. Let's see. Here it is on. No, that's not. Looks like futures. Let me see. There we go. There's spot, my friend. Turbo. Let me tell you something about Turbo. Jesus, this is a beautiful. You know what this chart reminds me of? This actually reminds me of Wojak. Turbo is a chart. It's one that I regret not getting into. It's one I did a little bit of research on. I thought it was interesting, and I was like, huh. I was just beginning to get into memes because I saw how lucrative it could potentially be down the road to allocate part of your investment into memes. That's something I've been talking about for a long time now on this channel at this point, and how my investment thesis has evolved over time. I mean, I think if you're gonna break things down and say, well, what are the three main things that will lead to a project being successful? There are three main things when that you should consider. Take some notes here. Three main things, in my opinion, you want to consider when investing in a project. Fundamentals. Didn't expect me to say that, huh? Because we always talk technicals. Fundamentals, technicals, and narrative. Narrative is going to drive a lot of that liquidity, right? So memes obviously are the biggest narrative right now. Now, this chart is beautiful, and I regret not getting into this for sure. I don't know when I started thinking about getting into this. I want to say it was either here or here. Either way, I lost out tremendously by not getting into it. Look at this uptrend. Frankie, this is a beautiful chart, man. You can't... There aren't many charts that look better than this. And in fact, we broke out to new all-time highs just recently. Right now, all we've done, just to let you know, let's keep this stupid simple, as we always do. This is an area of support right there. Now, why am I drawing it there? Well, you got a couple bodies, you got a wick. As long as we don't start to break down, we can come down. See, we can come down all the way to here. Whatever that value is, you can read it to the right. And we're fine. I don't want to break this because now we're starting to entertain coming all the way back down here at 0.456 cents. Okay, 0.45 cents, right? So let's just hold this green area right here. Now, we know there's going to be some noise and volatility. This is one line. I could draw an area of support. We're not going to clutter the chart. But this is your main area of support right there. Goes without saying, but I'll put it on here. This is the all-time high. Obviously, we want to break that to get another blue sky breakout. Boy, this looks good. Now, let me see. I'm thinking the wheels are churning. The wheels are churning. I was thinking of something else that I was going to say. Digesting the chart. Thinking about what I want to say before I say it. Yeah, I mean, you could. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, you could, if you wanted to have an idea where you could potentially. I mean, the thing is, I could look at a trend-based fib extension with you, which I don't do quite that often. The thing with these memes are, and obviously the first area you want to look at is the 1.618, even the 1.272 in some situations. But the thing with these assets, like these memes, there's no reason this thing couldn't run up to a 568, a 368, a 7618. It's really hard. Once you get those blue sky breakouts, man, but this chart is looking really, really, really nice. Other things that I'd be watching for, so if we go to the 3-day, one thing I would alert you to on the turbo chart, check out the high here on the RSI. Now, a lot of these meme coins, like we took a look at MOG recently, right? And I told you guys that I took a little bite out of that one. But we have some negative divergence on the RSI. For me, it doesn't matter. I don't care if the thing goes down even 20 or 30% from here. I'm in it for the long haul for next year because of what I think is gonna happen next year. But 20 to 30% on the downside is nothing compared to expectations for next year. But the thing I want to alert you in, on this chart at least, is that there is some weakness in the chart. Notice how this was essentially a double top in the RSI. We managed to push up and create a new all-time high, and the RSI went higher, right? So we have higher RSIs coming in. But notice how the RSI is declining as the price is increasing, right? So just something to be mindful of. Something to be mindful of on the chart. Do we also see it on the weekly? We do. We see it on the weekly even more so. So you can see lower RSI. So what this is saying, and I've shared this with you guys before, if you're getting a lower relative strength index reading as the price action is pushing up, what that's telling you in layman's terms is that there's weaker volume. There's weaker support for the price action that's pushing it up. There isn't as much strength behind that move. It's weaker, and it's more likely to fail, right? It's not a certainty, because we know that charting isn't about certainties. It's about probabilities. But there's a higher probability that it ultimately will fail and kind of conk out. But I got to tell you, beyond the negative divergence on the RSI, I don't see anything that's to be suspicious on this chart. It looks beautiful. I'd even, quite honestly, the more I look at this, I'd be fine if we just came in here and ranged for a bit and then started to push up again. And in some ways, that would be very healthy for some of these indicators. But chart's looking beautiful, my friend. Very beautiful. One of the stronger charts I've evaluated recently. Thank you, Max. Appreciate the kind comments. Could you look at MNW? Not sure how far this thing will go down. According to Power Law, which everyone... Yes, and Kyle, I'm happy to take a look at that. We haven't... I know we've charted it before, but we haven't charted it a little bit. According to Power Law, which everyone and their mother on crypto Twitter were saying that only CAS, apart from BTC, follows Apollo, the chart shows that CAS is dead. What's your take on this? Well, I can't give you a thought on if the Power Law says that the chart is dead or the project is dead. I'm semi-familiar with the Power Law. I follow someone on X who posts charts on the Power Law, but I haven't seen anything saying that the project is dead or the chart is dead based on the Power Law. I would find that hard to believe, but perhaps there's a flaw somewhere in the charting of the Power Law chart. But at the end of the day, as much as I think a lot of those other views are interesting, I just stick to the charts. I keep it very stupid simple on this channel. It's what works for me. I'm sharing with you what works for me. And so in this case, I've shared everything I could share with you on CASPA, and I've given you my thoughts. So, yeah, that's all I got to say on that. MNW. Let's take a look at MNW. Do I have a chart saved on that one? Yeah, and for everyone new tuning in, if you appreciate the fact that I'm randomly live streaming on a Friday at 1 o'clock, I would appreciate a thumbs up. Take a look at this. You want to know how long I've been charting? Hey, this is from 2018. Boy. Oh, wow, my charting has come a long way since then. Mankind. Wow, Mankind's had a nice run here. This is a pharmaceutical company. Oof, never mind. It's a pharmaceutical company. They do shit with diabetes. I used to be pretty heavy into pharmaceutical companies. All right. Let's take a look. MNW. Morpheus Network. Oof. Well, I think it's rather obvious, Kyle, but I'll point this out. We're looking at the weekly. We'll stay on the weekly. You need this area to hold. You know, we had this pointed out. I don't know if we put this here because this is the last time we charted or what, but this looks to be at 30 cents, okay? You can see the price confluence over here, tapping it here back in June of 22. You see we had a hard time getting above 30 cents. Once we clear, here's the story of the chart. We spent a significant amount of time under 30 cents. Once we broke 30 cents, we pulled like a 15x. We went up to 450. We came back down. We back tested the 30 cent area. We confirmed it as support, and we continued chugging higher all the way up to 250. I mean, we pulled another 8 to 9x. Okay? Since then, we've come back down to 30 cents again. Now, I'm okay for the moment that this thing has come back down to 30 cents as weak as it is. However, we can't come down here and start touching this a fourth time. 3 times I'm okay with, or actually this would be the second time. Yeah, I guess this would be technically the second time. Once you start hitting the third plus time that you're hitting support like this on a major retest, you're just opening up the door to it breaking. It's the same thing I said with CASPA, you know, constantly hitting this 12.8 to 12.5 cent or whatever area region it is. The thing's got to start pushing up, because if it doesn't, it's going to break down. It's just the law of probabilities. That's all. So we're fine as long as 30 cents doesn't break. And I really, quite honestly, Kyle, I don't want to see this even come back down to 30 cents. We're at 33. Let's try to hold 33 to 31 cents and not even come down there. How are the indicators looking? MACD's trying to turn around. I like that the relative strength index is beginning to increase here. I will go to a lower time frame and see. There is some bullish divergence in the RSI, so there's a little bit of hope here that this thing might bounce, but definitely a very weak performer. My apology, or not my apologies, but if you've been invested in this for a while, sorry to hear that, because it just hasn't been a strong performer. You know, not as bad as Casper. You can take some. Oh, I said I'd stop mentioning that, right? But yeah, 30 cents. You want to see 30 cents. Hold. Anything else that you guys want to see me chart out here? Synapse was really running yesterday. That's one I like to get in and out of and trade. It's got some nice volatility in it. Looks like Tony the Bull BTC is raging bull is flashing on this. Let's get that off. That's a proprietary indicator. Let's get off these moving averages. This is ticker symbol SYN. I brought this up on the spaces yesterday. This one, when it wants to move, it really likes to move. Now, we're in this area here. This was actually the area I targeted selling. I took the majority of all my profits and put them in Orca, actually. And you can see that once we topped out here in the 80 cent area, we came all the way back down to, look at this, 37 cents, and now we've jumped way back up to 69 cents. I mean, and this is where if you know what you're doing in assets like this, if you know a chart well and you're disciplined and you're objective about things and you exercise risk management, you can do well for yourself, right? You can do well for yourself if you're patient trading these things. I got another question. One more, please. Protocol FXN. Oh, Kyle, another question came in. Let me get to this other question, and then we'll see if we have time to get to FXN. MSTR. Isn't that, I don't want to sound stupid. Hold on. Let me look up. Isn't that, it is MicroStrategy. Okay. I didn't want to sound stupid. But so, MicroStrategy, a lot of people have said this is very, we're not going to pull up a Bitcoin chart to check, but this is very correlated with Bitcoin's price action. It's like Bitcoin's beta. Yeah, this thing is beginning to have a blue sky breakout here. The other thing I'm noticing about this chart right off the bat, I don't know what this is doing here. Maybe I was using this before, actually. This looks like some nice parabolic price action to me. You got this nice rounding bottom coming up here. What is up with these lines here? What was I doing on this chart? What's all this shit? I don't know what this is all about. I have no idea. I don't know, we're going to take that off. MicroStrategy is looking very strong at the moment. We're going to keep this on a 2-week. I don't know what this is. Let's take a look at where we would want to watch for support. And I thought I saw or read that this kind of front runs Bitcoin. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not going to take a look at that right now. But if that is a true statement, then this would suggest Bitcoin's going to see a breakout very shortly. So this is sort of the zone I'd like to see us hold anywhere. I mean, we could go. Let's just talk about 160. So the 160 to 108 area is ultimately what you want to see hold. Of course, we're all the way up at 238. So ultimately, I would want to see. Let's be a little bit more realistic here, unless we get a big pullback. Realistically, you know, it'd be fine if we pull back all the way down to 188, 184, 161. You can see we've had big pullbacks in the past. Here, when we initially topped out, we had a 49% pullback. Here we had a 37% pullback. So not unlikely. Certainly possible we could pull back to around 184, 161. But price action is looking very strong. Let's go to the RSI. Now, again, we're seeing some negative divergence on this RSI. I don't like to see that. And again, I'm not going to chart it. You can kind of visually see that the RSI is going lower. It's creating lower highs as the price action is actually, you can see, pushing up, right? So I don't like to see the negative RSI here. The negative, again, the way to properly interpret negative divergence on the RSI is that it's a warning flag. It's not telling you with certainty that, well, because momentum's beginning to weaken within the price moving up, it's going to stall out and have a huge correction. However, what it is telling you is it's giving you a big warning that could happen. So something to pay attention to. But besides the negative divergence in the RSI, to me, I'll tell you what the price looks like it wants to do, just in generalities. Don't pay attention to the price target or the time frame, but looks like it wants to push up here, kind of pull back, and then have some sort of final ride up here before we get a big correction and then kind of peter out here for a bit. So we shall see. We shall see. You're welcome, HSB. All right, I will chart one more. I saw FXN come in from Kyle. Kyle's been a long time supporter of the channel, so I want to help him out. What is FXN? Not seeing it. First National Corporation? FXN. I'm not seeing it, my friend. Yeah, I don't see it. Well, I think our last question is going to be an unchartable item. So I don't know what you're asking me to chart. Sorry, Kyle, but not seeing it. All right, guys, that's going to do it. We got 6 short days coming in here before we get into November. So let's see how the week closes. It's going to be a partial week for the month of October next week before we get into November. And I think, again, I've sort of outlined in generalities, no matter who wins the presidential election, the way I think price will respond based on who is elected U.S. president. I think in either case, you're going to definitely have a lot of volatility. You're going to have price not do exactly what you think, but the general direction is up, and there's nothing in the charts to suggest to me that is significantly at risk. All right, guys, have a great weekend, and I will see you back here on Monday. Until next time, let's all spread awareness and carry the education forward. Take care.